We've all heard it before. Just follow your heart, it'll lead the way. But after loss, after everything in your life just fell apart, that advice is just not that simple. In fact, it can feel impossible. Because what do you do when your heart is the very thing that's broken? Well, in this video, I want to show you a different way to maybe approach that, with 3 ways that actually will help you move forward without trying to force clarity or pretend you're okay when you're not, but instead by letting your broken heart lead the way. Because here's what I've come to understand. Your heart, it doesn't stop guiding you. You just have to start listening to it in maybe a different way. And in this video, I'm going to show you how. I remember after my brother passed away, everything in my life just fell apart all at the same time. It just felt like it shattered in a million gazillion pieces. And at the same time, my relationship ended. I didn't know what I was even doing with my career. I didn't even want a career. I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't look like myself. I was just lost. And I remember my friend asking me this one time, well, what does your heart want? And I just sat there thinking, I don't know, because it doesn't feel like it's working anymore. And that question really stayed with me. Not because I had the answers, because I definitely didn't at that time, but because I didn't feel connected to my heart anymore. It was shattered. But over time, I started to realize something. Those pieces, they weren't the problem. They were the direction. So with that, that's what I want to share with you today, the 3 ways that I've learned to let your broken heart actually become the compass that can lead you forward. So let's start with number 1, to grieve. Before anything else, you have to make space for grief, to be present with the pain. And I know it is not easy and it hurts, but not as something that you just get through or push through, but really something that you let yourself be in. And I know it's not easy. Because what I see happen, and I've done it myself, is that we either try to move forward by kind of stepping over all those shattered pieces, or we try to brush them under the rug. And understandably, it hurts. We want to stay functional or stay strong or figure it out. Or maybe we even just want to put it all back together the same exact way it was before. But meanwhile, something deeper is still there and it hasn't gone anywhere. And it's not just the loss itself, it's everything that came with it. What changed, what ended, what you thought your life was going to look like, the version of yourself that existed before that. So this part is really about giving yourself permission to be with what's there, not to rush it, not even to just clean it up, but really to let it have its place, messy, shattered pieces and all. Because when you do that, something starts to shift. And not in a way that the pain just disappears, because it doesn't, but where you can actually be present in it and allow it to move and move with you. And that's what matters, because your grief isn't just something you carry forward. It's something you're in a relationship with. It's asking to be acknowledged, to be felt, and to be witnessed. So give yourself that space and that time and the grace to grieve. So number 2 is to listen to your broken heart. Because here's what I know for sure, that pain is one of the most powerful teachers we have if we let it speak. And your broken heart is telling you a lot. It's telling you about who you are now, what you value now, maybe what you don't value anymore, what you want, what you don't want, who you want in your life, who you don't want in your life. I mean, there's so much it can let you know. And it might be completely different than who you were before. And that makes sense because you're not the same person. I'll tell you, after my brother passed away, I just kept trying to follow the same old path, kept circling it and really, I guess, trying to make it all fit. But it wasn't me anymore. And it wasn't until I stopped trying to force it that I actually really listened to what my pain was moving me towards. And that's when I started volunteering as a grief support leader. I went back to coaching school, and then I started doing the very work that I'm doing now. And it's because I finally listened to what my broken heart was pointing me towards. So don't underestimate what your pain is showing you about your values and what matters to you now and about who you're becoming. That's not a detour. That is the direction, and sometimes perhaps even your renewed purpose. So number 3 is rebuilding trust. Not just trust in yourself, but in life. Because sometimes it's not just that something didn't work out or that it didn't go as planned, but sometimes this actually something that happened to you. You lost somebody that you love, someone or something ended in a way that you didn't expect. Life didn't unfold the way you thought it would. And that doesn't just affect your confidence, it affects your sense of safety. It makes the world around you unpredictable. And it makes it harder to actually trust in yourself and trust what's ahead. So when people say, oh, well, just follow your heart, well, that's not just confusing, it can feel unsafe. And there's a part of you that might be thinking, well, if I trust again, I'll end up right back here. Or what's the point? I followed my heart and I got hurt. And that's real. And that's why trusting in something is not something that happens overnight. It's just something that you rebuild over time with lived experience. And it starts with small steps, not forcing yourself to have everything figured out or to make the right decision, but just by moving again, slow and honestly and aligned with who you are now. And it starts with smaller steps, not forcing yourself to have everything figured out or not trying to make the right decision, but really by beginning to move again in just a way that feels honest and true and aligned with who you are now. You start showing yourself that you can take a step and be okay, that you can listen to yourself and respond. You can move forward without abandoning yourself. And it's those moments that you start to build something again, not instantly, but slowly and steadily. Because what you're really building is capacity, the ability to feel again, to respond without shutting yourself down or overriding yourself. And over time, that becomes trust, not blind trust, not the kind that tells you that nothing's going to go wrong, but a deep trust that even if it does, that you'll meet it, that you can handle it, and that you won't lose yourself in the process. And that's what allows you to move forward, not by trying to go back to who you were before, but by building something that actually fits to who you've become now. And that's what this really all comes down to. So when people tell you to just follow your heart, it's not that that advice is wrong, it's not, but after loss, or after your life falls apart, it just doesn't land the same way. And part of you, of course, still wants to go back to who you were and how things used to feel. But another part knows that you can't. So you find yourself in this real, just tender in-between space, not fully the old you and not sure how to move forward. But here's a truth that I really want you to hear. You're not losing your ability to be guided. Your heart is still speaking to you. You're just learning to listen to it in a completely different way. So if you're in that space right now, maybe you're hurting or things feel uncertain or unclear, or you don't fully trust yourself right now or don't trust what's ahead, give yourself that grace. It just means that you're in the middle of something that's still unfolding and it's painful. So instead of trying to force clarity, perhaps just give yourself that time to process and really look at what you actually might need. And if you need help with that, that's exactly why I created the Destiny Map. It's really built around the 5 phases of transformation we all move through in our lives, especially after a change or a loss. So you can take the quiz, it's completely free, and it's just going to help you identify where you're at now and maybe what kind of support you might need right now, instead of trying to force yourself to take a step that you may not be ready for. I'll leave the link below. And if you want to go even a little deeper, I would watch the next video, which is how to turn your pain into purpose, which is exactly what we've built on today. And it will just take this even further, because sometimes it's our broken heart that actually can lead the way if we're willing to listen. And it might have even led you here. So let me know in the comments, which of these 3 steps resonated with you the most? I would love to hear from you. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here.